Some secrets change everything the moment you uncover them. You think you know your family, the people who raised you, until one small discovery flips your world upside down. My name's Levi, I'm 24, and this is the story of how I caught my mom cheating while she was away on a business trip, and everything that unraveled after. Started a few months ago. I was living at home with my parents, saving up for my own place while working as a web developer for a small marketing firm. My mom's a regional manager for a chain of retail stores, so she's always traveling for work, meetings, store visits, that kind of thing. My dad's a high school math teacher, the steady one who's always home by 5, cooking dinner or grading papers. Growing up, I thought they had the perfect marriage. They'd laugh together, plan vacations, even argue sometimes, but it always felt like they were a team. That image shattered when I stumbled across something I wasn't supposed to see. Mom had been gone for a week, this time to a conference in Chicago. She'd left her old laptop at home, the one she used for personal stuff, and I needed to borrow it to finish a project since mine was acting up. I wasn't snooping, at least not at first. Her email was open, and as I clicked to minimize it, a message caught my eye. It was from someone named Colin, and the subject line was blank. The preview showed a single line, "Can't stop thinking about last night." My stomach twisted. I told myself it was nothing, maybe a friend or a coworker, but curiosity got the better of me. I clicked. The email was short but damning. Colin wrote about how much he enjoyed their time together at the hotel, how he couldn't wait to see her again. There were others, too, a whole thread going back months. They weren't just flirty. They were explicit, personal, the kind of thing you don't write to someone unless you're way past friendly. My hands shook as I scrolled. There were photos, too, nothing graphic, but one of them together, smiling at some restaurant, his arm around her like they were a couple. I felt sick. I closed the laptop and sat there, staring at the wall. My mom, the woman who'd raised me, who'd always preached honesty and loyalty, was having an affair. And my dad, my quiet, dependable dad, had no idea. I was angry, confused, betrayed. How could she do this? Did she not care about us? About him? I didn't know what to do, but I knew I couldn't just pretend I hadn't seen it. That's when the first problem hit. I didn't know how to confront her. She wasn't due back for 2 days, and I couldn't exactly call her up and say, "Hey Mom, I read your emails." I thought about telling Dad, but the idea of breaking his heart made me hesitate. He'd been so proud of her lately, always bragging about her promotions. I pictured his face crumpling, and I couldn't do it. Not yet. I couldn't shake the memory of a family camping trip we took a few years back, when I was still in high school. Mom and Dad had been so happy then, laughing as they tried to set up the tent, Dad teasing her about her terrible knot-tying skills. Rachel and I roasted marshmallows, and I remember Mom telling us stories about her own childhood, her eyes bright with nostalgia. That trip felt like a snapshot of everything I thought our family was. Messy but close, unbreakable. Now, knowing what she'd done, those memories felt tainted, like I'd been naive to believe we were ever that perfect. I kept wondering if she'd been hiding things even then, if the mom I idolized had always had this other side. The more I thought about it, the more I started noticing things around the house that hadn't stood out before. Mom's work bag, always zipped tight, now seemed suspicious. Did she keep secrets in there, too? I even caught myself staring at the family photos on the mantel, searching her smile for clues. It was exhausting, living in this hyper-alert state, questioning everything. I wanted to talk to someone besides Mateo, maybe an old teacher or a cousin, but I didn't know how to explain without sounding like I was betraying my family. Keeping it all inside was starting to feel like carrying a weight I wasn't strong enough for. Instead, I did something impulsive. I replied to Colin's email from her account. I kept it vague, pretending to be her, saying she needed space and wasn't sure about things continuing. I hit send before I could overthink it. Maybe I thought I could scare him off without blowing everything up. It was a stupid move, but I was desperate to do something. The next day, I got a notification on her laptop. Colin had replied. He sounded confused, even a little hurt, saying he didn't understand why she was pulling back. He mentioned meeting her when she got back to talk it out. My heart sank. This wasn't going away quietly. Worse, I realized Mom might see the email I'd sent when she checked her account. I panicked and deleted both my message and his reply, hoping she wouldn't notice. But that only made me feel guiltier, like I was covering for her. When Mom got home, I watched her like a hawk. She acted normal, hugging Dad, asking me about work, unpacking her suitcase like nothing was wrong. I kept waiting for her to mention the emails or act suspicious, but she didn't. Either she hadn't checked her account, or she was a better liar than I'd ever imagined. That's when another problem started brewing. My sister, Rachel. Rachel's 21, in her last year of college, and she's always been close to Mom. They talk on the phone all the time, share secrets, the whole mother-daughter thing. I've never been jealous, but I knew if anyone would pick up on Mom's behavior, it'd be her. Problem was, Rachel's also impulsive and doesn't think things through. If I told her what I'd found, she'd probably confront Mom in the middle of dinner and make everything worse. But keeping it from her felt wrong. 2. She deserved to know our family was falling apart. I decided to test the waters with Rachel indirectly. Over lunch one day, I asked if she'd noticed anything weird about Mom lately. Rachel shrugged, saying Mom seemed stressed but fine. Then she got this look, like she was piecing something together, and asked why I was bringing it up. I backpedaled, saying it was nothing, just work stress on my end. But Rachel's not dumb. She kept pressing, and I could tell she wasn't going to let it go. Now I had 2 secrets to juggle: Mom's affair and the fact that I was hiding it from my sister. The situation got messy when I ran into an old high school friend, Mateo, at a coffee shop. Mateo's the kind of guy who always knows what's going on, gossipy, but loyal. We got to talking, and I don't know why, but I spilled everything. Maybe I just needed someone to listen. Mateo was shocked but didn't judge. He suggested I dig deeper before doing anything drastic, like finding out who Colin was. He even offered to help, saying he knew people who could look into things. I wasn't sure what that meant, but I agreed, mostly because I felt lost. Mateo came through a few days later with a name: Colin Harper, a sales director who worked with Mom's company. He was in his late 40s, divorced, and apparently traveled to the same conferences she did. Mateo had found his LinkedIn and a few public photos, including one from a work event where he and Mom were standing too close for comfort. Knowing his name made it real in a way it hadn't been before. This wasn't some abstract betrayal. It was a specific person, someone I could picture ruining my family. Armed with this, I decided to confront Mom, but I wanted to be smart about it. I didn't want a screaming match or to give her a chance to lie her way out, so I planned it carefully. I waited until Dad was out grading papers one evening and Rachel was at a study group. I asked Mom to sit down, saying I needed to talk about something serious. My heart was pounding, but I kept my voice steady. "Mom," I said, "I saw your emails. The ones with Colin." Her face went pale, and for a second, I thought she might deny it. But then she just looked down, her hands twisting in her lap. "How did you find out?" she asked quietly. That made me angry. Like it mattered how I knew, not what she'd done. I told her about the laptop, the emails, the photos. I didn't mention replying to Colin or deleting anything. I didn't want to give her an out. She started crying, saying it was a mistake, that she'd been lonely with all the travel and Dad being so focused on work. She swore it wasn't serious, that she was going to end it. I didn't buy it. The emails didn't sound like a fling. They sounded like she cared about this guy. I asked if Dad knew, and she shook her head, begging me not to tell him. "It'll destroy him," she said. "Please, Levi, let me fix this." I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to yell, to make her feel as bad as I did, but another part just felt empty. This was my mom, the person who'd bandaged my knees and cheered at my soccer games. Seeing her so small and scared messed with my head. I told her I needed time to think and left the room, my mind spinning. The next few weeks were hell. Mom started acting overly attentive, like she was trying to prove she was still a good mother. She'd cook my favorite meals, ask about my day, even offer to help with my projects. Felt fake, and it made me resent her more. Meanwhile, Rachel kept giving me these searching looks, like she knew something was up but couldn't figure out what. I avoided her as much as I could, which only made her more suspicious. Then came the biggest complication yet. Dad started noticing things. He's not the confrontational type, but one night at dinner, he asked Mom why she'd been so jumpy lately. She laughed it off, saying it was just work stress, but I could see the doubt in his eyes. Later, he pulled me aside and asked if I knew what was going on with her. I froze. I wanted to tell him everything, but I kept picturing him broken, maybe even leaving her. I mumbled something about not knowing and bolted to my room. That's when I realized I couldn't keep playing both sides. I had to do something, not just for me but for Dad and Rachel, too. I started thinking about what I wanted, not just to expose Mom, but to protect our family, or at least what was left of it. I didn't trust her to end things with Colin on her own, so I decided to force her hand. I went back to Mateo for advice. He suggested something risky but clever. Send Colin a message from an anonymous account, hinting that Mom's family knew about the affair. It wouldn't directly involve me, but it might spook him enough to back off. I hesitated. Blackmail felt dirty, but I was out of options. I created a burner email and sent a short message. Her family knows about you. Stay away. I didn't sign it, didn't mention names, just hit send and hoped. A few days later, Mom seemed rattled. She got a call during dinner and left the room to take it, her voice low and tense. When she came back, she looked like she hadn't slept in days. I didn't know if it was my email or something else, but it felt like progress. Still, I wasn't naive enough to think that'd fix everything. I needed to make sure she understood the stakes. I sat her down again, this time with a plan. Mom, I said, I know you're still talking to him. I don't trust you to end it, so here's the deal. You tell Dad the truth or I will. But if you tell him, you get to control how it comes out. I'll give you 1 week. Her eyes widened, and she started to argue, but I cut her off. I'm not negotiating. 1 week. It was a bluff. I wasn't sure I could actually tell Dad. But it worked. 3 days later, I overheard her talking to him in their bedroom. I couldn't make out everything, but I heard her crying, saying she'd made a mistake, that she loved him. Dad's voice was quiet, too quiet, and it broke my heart. When they came out, they both looked like ghosts. Dad didn't say much to me, just squeezed my shoulder and went for a walk. Mom avoided my eyes. The fallout wasn't pretty. Dad moved into the guest room for a while, and they started seeing a counselor. Rachel finally found out, not from me, but from overhearing them argue. She was furious, mostly at Mom, but also at me for keeping it from her. We had a huge fight where she accused me of treating her like a kid. I apologized, explaining I was trying to protect her, but it took weeks for her to stop giving me the cold shoulder. As for Mom, she swore she'd cut contact with Colin, and from what I could tell, she did. I checked her laptop one last time, nothing. Maybe she'd learned her lesson, or maybe she'd just gotten better at hiding things. Either way, I didn't care as much anymore. I'd done what I could. Things slowly got better. Dad and Mom started talking more, not just about the affair but about stuff they'd ignored for years, like how her travel made him feel left behind, or how he'd buried himself in work to avoid feeling lonely. They weren't fixed, but they were trying. Rachel and I patched things up, too. She admitted she'd been scared of losing our family and took it out on me. I got it. I've been scared, too. For me, the biggest change was realizing I couldn't stay in the middle of their mess forever. I used the money I'd been saving and moved into a small apartment a few miles away. It's not fancy, but it's mine. I'm still close enough to visit, but far enough to breathe. Work's going well, too. I landed a bigger client last month, and it's given me some stability I didn't have before. Looking back, I don't know if I handled things perfectly. Maybe I should have told Dad right away, or maybe I shouldn't have messed with Colin's emails. But I did what felt right at the time, trying to balance protecting my family with holding Mom accountable. It's weird. Part of me still loves her, even after everything. She's my mom, you know? But I don't trust her the same way, and I don't know if I ever will. So that's my story. I'm in a better place now than I was when it all started, but I still wonder if I made the right calls. What do you think? Should I have done things differently? Told Dad sooner, confronted Mom harder, or stayed out of it completely? If you were me, what would you have done? I'd love to hear your thoughts, because even now, I'm not sure if I took the best path or just the one that got me through.
Thank you for watching. Give it a like, subscribe, and let's roll with more stories.